Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel and another Word Study Wednesday. First of all, let me just apologize for my scratchy throat. I actually came back from our trip and had lost my voice, and it's just now starting to come back a little bit. So I'm just going to do the best I can with this voiceover. But I am starting off in my James Method Word Study Journal. I'm going to add some stickers in here. These are stickers just from my stash, and just trying to use up all of the things. And I do better if I put some stickers down ahead of time. Otherwise, I never leave myself enough space. So today I am looking at the word happy, which is from 1 Peter 4:14, which says, "If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the Spirit of glory and of God resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified." The Strong's number we're looking at today is G3107. I'm using just an alpha sticker here and just writing out the numbers. And then I'm going to write down the transliteration, which is Makarios. And this, I had to do a little bit of digging into this transliteration, which I'll get into in a minute. But this is an adjective. It's plural, masculine in the nominative case. It's translated blessed 44 times in the New Testament, happy 5 times, and happier 1 time. And it means supremely blessed, or by extension, fortunate, well off. And the outline of biblical usage is just blessed and happy. And so I wrote the usage down. It's everywhere from Matthew to Revelations. And then I wrote down that this is under the root words and derivatives. It says that it's a prolonged form of the poetical makar, which it has the same meaning, but a little bit differently in the sense that it means a deep spiritual or divine happiness, or being in a state of favor with God. And so that is kind of an important aspect to understand about this particular word. And a lot of times this is used specifically in the Beatitudes in Matthew. And so I want to read through them. I kind of paraphrased them just for this notes and nuggets section, but I want to read this entire passage of scripture. So Matthew 5:3-11. Which says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake." Then it goes on to talk about rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. So this kind of goes back to that definition of being in a state of favor with God. The next verse I wrote down is Matthew 24:46, which says, "Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing." Luke 11:28 says, "But he said, yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the words of God and keep it." There's several verses that talk about, our actions and doing the things that God requires. And those in turn will make us happy or make us be blessed. John 13:17. It's kind of a little bit out of context, these verses, but it says, "If ye know these things, happy are ye if ye do them." This is Jesus talking. He's giving some instruction. And so then he's saying, if you understand them and you do them, then you are happy. Romans 4 verses 7 and 8 saying, "Blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord will not impute sin." The last verse that I can fit on this page is going to be James 1, verse 12, which says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him." And I love how in this verse and also in the Beatitudes, it kind of talks about things that we have to endure, temptation, or, all of those attributes that we're trying to pull on, being pure in heart, being peacemakers, persecuted for righteousness' sake. But all of those things have an attached promise with them, just like this verse here in James talking about receiving the crown of life. And so I just think those are really beautiful promises. And so we have a way to know that we are blessed, we are happy because of all of these things that the Lord has promised, even in maybe difficult circumstances. And then the last verse that I'm going to include, I'm actually going to write on one of my transparent sticky notes. And this is from Revelation 22:14, which says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city." Okay, so the next section that I want to deal with here is the lexicon section. And I had a question about this last week. I'm going to try to walk through my process for this. And so I'm a little bit off camera more than I intended to be, so I apologize for that. But I am using my iPad for this, but I'm actually moving from the app version into the desktop version for this portion. And so I just typed in the verse at the top in the search bar, which again is 1 Peter 4:14. I went through, clicked on interlinear concordance, and then I clicked on the word happy. And then at the top, you'll see some like commentary, some dictionary, different things up at the top. One of those options says lexiconic. And so you click on that and it will show you both Greek and Hebrew. So there was one other Greek number and there were 4 references in the Old Testament. So they will have the H numbers. And so one of the things that you can do is click on those links. You can look up and it will bring you to that word. You can see how that word is used. You can see the definition of that word. You can see scriptures where that word is used. And one of the Hebrew ones, I believe it was 833 that I clicked on, it was translated only just a couple of times as happy, but the rest of the time it was translated in a completely different way. And so going through those processes and looking through it, those different sections really give you a good idea. It takes you down some different rabbit trails because, sometimes they used a word and just translated it in a different way. And so that's one of the ways you can do it. Sometimes there's a lot of lexicon information and sometimes there's just very little. So a lot of times if there isn't any lexicon information, I will go in and actually use the Treasury of Scripture Knowledge, which is kind of, the same idea as the word that I'm looking at. I've mentioned that before. So that's another way that you can use this section if there's not a lot of information. But there's also ways that you can just, click through and see where those rabbit trails take you and how these words are being used in, both the New and the Old Testament. And so now I'm over in the main takeaway section, and I am going to include some personal thoughts here and also a section of the commentary from Matthew Henry. And so that part says, "The happiness of good people not only consists with, but even flows from their afflictions. Happy are you. That man who hath the Spirit of God resting upon him cannot be miserable. Let his afflictions be ever so great. Happy are you for the Spirit of God." And it's just such an important idea and kind of, all throughout Scripture, talking about, if you endure temptation, if you endure affliction, if you're blessed and you're highly favored. It's hard to think of those things as, those kinds of afflictions as favor or being blessed and that, being happy. But we have that because we have the Spirit of God that rests with us. And so I also wrote that happy is more than a temporary and fleeting emotion. Regardless of circumstance, we are blessed that he would even take notice of us. And so I did run out of room here down at the bottom to write all of that, but I had done a little bit of digging. I actually looked at the definition in Merriam-Webster of happy, and it's, talking about just kind of very, surface level of just being glad and whatever. But really this word happy in the New Testament is a deep spiritual or divine happiness. It's in being in a state of favor with God. And it's such a different idea than just, I'm happy because I had a good cup of coffee or whatever, which those things do make me happy. But that's not the context of this word in these verses. And so I am also going to add just a little bit more color and a few more stickers now that I have all my notes on here. You can see I have added my transparent sticky note up there at the top, and I'm just going to use some more stickers and a few different things to add just a little bit more color to this page. I'm not going to make you watch me do all this because you've seen people put stickers down before, but I will have some close-up shots down at the end of this. But I do want to say quickly that I thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any questions or if you have suggestions for future words, I would love to hear about that. Put them in the comments and I'll try to do the best that I can. Also, if you would like to see other word study videos, I do have a playlist that you can go back and watch. I'll have that linked down in the description, along with my affiliate link for the James Method if you're interested in getting a word study journal like this one or part of the Bible binder system. There are templates for that. And I would also have the links for my my website and my Facebook group. I'd love to have you join me over there. And if you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.